Hey everyone, it's Vinny, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about perms. So perms do have a lot of negative connotations with them and associations. People think that a perm were those ugly, horrible, frizzy styles that our moms had back in the 80s or 90s. They may even remind you of some of the old-fashioned bands that used to get perms back in the day. So perms, I'm going to explain in this video, just touch upon the history and explain generally what a perm is, talk about the process, and in another video, I'll go over the different types of perms, the different tools, the different wrapping methods, because all that matters when you're doing a perm. So a perm is a chemical texture service, and what that means is that no matter what a brand claims, a perm will always damage your hair, because our hair, if this is our hair structure, think of it like a ladder. We have all these little steps, and those are called disulfide bonds. A proper perm will break exactly 50% of the disulfide bonds. If you break more, you will turn the hair to mush. It will be over-processed, frizzed, breaking. If you under-process the hair, it won't hold the curl and it will look like nothing happened. So you really want to make sure you break approximately 50. Proper way to do that is do the perm test. I'll talk about that later. So chemically, perms are a chemical. There is no such thing as a damage-free perm or an organic perm. You can make it with organic ingredients, I'm assuming, but I'll get into that later. It's really just a marketing thing. There are perms that are less harmful than others, or less harsher than others, I should say, because pH is important. Now, perms, they have a very unpleasant smell. It smells like ammonia and eggs. That egg smell is from a chemical called a reducing agent. A reducing agent is a chemical that will break down the bonds. The most common one is TG, thioglycolic acid. It's acidic in pH, but it's a very good reducing agent. However, our hair's pH is acidic, so this chemical cannot enter the hair. We need to add an alkalizer. An alkalizer is a chemical that will raise the pH of the hair, open up that cuticle, so that a reducing agent can go in there and break the bonds and do its job. The most common alkalizer we use is ammonia. So that makes the chemical ATG, or ammonium thioglycolic acid. And this is used in a perm called the cold wave. And the cold wave is a no-mix perm. It's in a bottle. You pierce it. You apply it. There's no mixing or complicated steps. It processes at room temperature. And it was one of the first perms that were made that were easier to use, because before that, the only perm service was Charles Nestler's perm machine. Look that up in Google. It is terrifying looking. It looks like something you'd see in an alien space movie. They would wrap the hair around these rods with a cotton pad to prevent scalp burning, but there was still a risk of scalp burns, chemical burns, and electrocution. It was really scary, and there's a British series called Hidden Killers of the Home, and they touch upon that in the video of Nestler's machine and all that. And their perm would take at least 5 hours, 5 to 6 hours. It was long. The perms were frizzy. They were fried. They weren't really good looking. And the most common thing they used back then to perm hair was either cow urine or another type of acid like that, which absolutely stunk, and that sounds disgusting by today's standards. So with today's perms, we actually have a ton. There is different types of waves, which I'll talk about in another video, because that could take like a good 10 minutes to explain the different types, the different pros, the different cons. So with perms, you're going to put the solution on the rod. There's also different tools you can use. I'll explain that later. There's bendy rods, flexi rods. You're going to put that on there, and you're going to do the check. We're going to check to see if the hair has the S shape or the roping. When you rinse the hair, you're going to rinse it to get all that chemical out of the hair. If any chemical is left in there, it can continue processing, which is not a good thing, because the cold wave, the most common perm used, has a pH of about 9 to 9.6, which is very, very alkaline. The highest you can go is 14, and that is very caustic. And it's usually used on a lot of the old lady hair, or like the horrible coarse gray hair. So with perms, you're going to rinse all that chemical out. You have to neutralize. Now the neutralizer is acidic. It's actually hydrogen peroxide, which is acidic in pH, but the oxide, the oxygen in there, will actually go back in and rebond the hair into the new curly structure. That's what locks the curl in, and that is why you must never ever wash your hair immediately after you get a perm, because what happens is you're gonna destroy all those bonds you just created, and you're gonna be left with limp, damaged, frizzy hair, and you're gonna be disappointed. So after you rinse, you want to neutralize, and if the hair type is very fine or very resistant, you can actually rinse on the rod where you put all the neutralizer on there, rinse the hair all out, take the rods out, and you gently squirt a little bit of neutralizer and quickly rinse, don't thoroughly rinse. And that helps to lock in the curl better with smooth, flat hair. The other thing what I've seen online is that people were saying things that weren't true with neutralizers. They were saying you could use apple cider vinegar instead. You can't. You have to use the neutralizer first. What you can do is do a vinegar rinse. And that's actually a little bit of an older technique that was used back in the day. And that is even better because it further helps to neutralize your hair's pH. It may smell a little bit like vinegar, but the smell usually does dissipate. And it does make the hair a little bit smoother. You can do other types of perms like the Olaplex perm, which is its own process in of its own. And after you neutralize your hair, I would wait at least 3 days before shampooing again, or go as long as possible, because that longer you let your hair air neutralize, the better the result and the better the curl's gonna hold. But because your hair does grow, I've heard a lot of people saying that the perm washes out of the hair. The perm will never wash out of your hair. Once hair has been permed, it will always be permed. And what happens then is you have to do a retouch. So in every, give or take, 4 to 6 months, some people go sooner, some go more, you're gonna have to get your hair re-permed. If you get your hair permed, you really don't wanna do much to it. You don't wanna flat iron it the next day because that will relax some of the curl. You wanna treat your hair gentle and just gently condition it. You can do a leave-in conditioner spray, and that will help to further neutralize it and help keep it smooth and healthy. Perming will damage your hair no matter what. Like I've said, there are perms that are ammonia and thio-free, and I'll show you guys an example. On the mannequin I did, not all perms have to be horrible and frizzy. Some can be very nice, very beachy. This looks like I actually just curled her hair with a wand, and this is actually a special perm where I used plastic rollers used in a roller set, and I fastened them in with a perm rod, and when I permed on it, it gave me better results, more wearable, more modern for younger people. So I will see you guys in a bit because I just kind of touched upon the perms. Let me know what you guys think. I do want to do a Q&A eventually where I'll answer your questions, and I'll answer comments or concerns about chemical processing, perming, all that. Just post your comments there. I'm going to put up another video on that because I really like to do Q&A videos, or I want to start doing them. I'm going to talk about the different types of perms in my next video. So like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys soon.